easy go.
Welcome back, Buc Bros. We are here with a special off-season edition with the Buc Bros podcast. I am joined as always by my fellow Buc Bros, Bryce, John, and Zach. How you guys doing so far this off-season?
Hey, broadcasters. Glad to be back. It's been quite an off-season here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I know we're going to get into it, but having a good time with everything.
Having a much better offseason now that we know that Brady is coming back. Arians isn't, just a lot of things stacking up to make this a good offseason for me.
Yeah, Brady's back. I mean, that's all I needed for this offseason. Yeah.
That's definitely the big news. But before we get into the off-season news, guys, let's just wrap up the 2021 season. I don't think we had our thoughts expressed on the postseason. We came up just a bit short in our comeback against the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams in the divisional round. What are your final thoughts on the 2021 season?
You know, that was such a good game to watch, Bucs and Rams. I mean, it was a classic. The comeback was amazing. Some questionable calls there at the end on our end that eventually let the game get away. But I mean, overall, what a good season. Anytime you can make the playoffs is a good season as far as I'm concerned. It's been a long time coming as a Bucs fan, and to do it a couple of years in a row has been fantastic. And there's not much really bad I can say about that. If we were fully healthy, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts you could have. But otherwise, I mean, it was a good season.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that in 2 years we're talking about, being disappointed, losing a divisional playoff game versus where we were for the last 10 years. And that's all because number 12 is wearing a uniform for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But yeah, what a season. I mean, best regular season in franchise history, 13 wins. Great home game in the wild card round against the Eagles. Just total domination from that standpoint. And as John mentioned, it was quite a comeback that we put it on the Rams there, and just kind of couldn't last those last minutes, and they kicked the winning field goal. But hell of a season, and I'm glad that we'll get one more year of Brady to see what he can do in the 2022 season.
Yeah, I mean, to everyone's point, like, who are we to be disappointed, right? I mean, how long has it been since we had back-to-back playoff seasons? So, I mean, disappointed, I guess, but, it's still a great season. Obviously, Brady looked like he was 20 years younger. He had an amazing MVP caliber season. Team looked good. I mean, if injuries, like John said, obviously would have liked to have Godwin there for that match, but I thought it was a pretty great season. Won the division.
Yeah, I mean, we've been Bucs fans for how long now? So going through the slums of the 2010s has definitely given us perspective on playoff seasons the past 2 years. So I'm with you guys. Great season. Came up just a bit short, but 13 wins. It's a franchise record, and we definitely had one of our best seasons to date. So with that wrapped up, we look to the offseason. Obviously, we've already made mention of it. Tom Brady is coming back after announcing retirement. He unretired, I think, 2 months later. So he will be back with the team. I mean, it's shaping up to be a good 2022 season. What are some of the offseason moves other than Brady that you guys liked from the Buccaneers?
They re-signed Godwin. I like that a lot. I mean, it was the retention, right? Like, the guys they decided to retain were really, really big pieces. Jensen coming back is huge. Ali left for his own reasons. Obviously, it's hard to plan for that, but they kept a lot of the team intact, especially on that side of the ball. And Carlton Davis as well. I like the retention pieces. I know they brought some guys in. I'm sure we'll make mention of that later, but I really liked the guys that we kept.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. The keeping the team intact, the core team intact is certainly important. And I have to wonder whether or not Ali Marpet retires knowing that Tom Brady has another season in him. I wonder if now he is uncomfortable with that decision, but that's something we may never know. But we also brought Leonard Fournette back. We brought Carlton Davis back, like you said. We only have a few players really who we haven't brought back. JPP, Sue, and some rotational guys like McClendon. So there's a lot there that we could really bring the majority of the team back, and that would be great. We did let some guys go like Ronald Jones, players that I enjoy, but you like to see them try a little bit more somewhere else. The biggest move for me in the offseason was Arian stepping down. I think that's going to have the biggest impact going forward. Obviously, anytime you lose your head coach, the dynamics will change. I did say on this podcast a while back that I thought Todd Bowles was the obvious successor, and I was told no, it was going to be Leftwich, and obviously feel a little vindicated now to see Todd Bowles in there, but it is what it is. And I think not having Arians be in the way of this offense is going to be huge, and I think that'll allow us to get a little bit further this season than we may have last season.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Arians leaving or retiring and moving to the front office is definitely one of the bigger stories outside of Brady coming back this offseason. The team is essentially back. We're running it back a third time here in 2022. And we did add some new pieces. Russell Gage coming in as the third wide receiver, slot wide receiver. Got Logan Ryan in the back for safety. So some, key pieces. I think we brought in Shaq Mason to replace at least one of the guards. I think Ali Marpet's I think Alex Kappa at right guard, then we'll have to replace the left guard. But yeah, the story is going forward. Well, how's Tom Brady and the offense going to look like, and the team overall now with new leadership under Todd Bowles? And I think for this season, it's really not going to look that much different. Brady and Leftwich kind of know what they're doing on offense. It had Arians touch on it, as everybody heard. He'd come in with his red pen and, make some changes to the game plan late in the week. But he's the head coach, and that's what head coaches do. So I don't think Todd's going to do any of that in 2022. So I still think you'll see, obviously, anytime Brady's your quarterback, you're going to have a strong team. What's the team going to look like when Brady eventually moves on, probably after the season? That's where it's going to be interesting because, I have some doubts about Todd Bowles going forward, not on the defensive side, but just overall as a head coach. But, we'll get into that when 2023 comes around.
I was going to say you're jumping the shark a little bit here.
Yeah, I was getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. I do like how it is phrased as a step down and then he gets a front office position for BA. You usually associate that with a step up. I also appreciated Zach's reaction to John saying that Byron Leftwich was the heir apparent on this show. Only John thought it was Todd Bowles, because I think Zach had a opinion otherwise.
Oh, I've been on that. And the moment he hired Todd Bowles, I thought that's the successor. Like that's the guy. I thought he got a really unfair deal in New York. I think he overachieved with that team. I think he's got the experience. And maybe if he's not, micromanaging the defense as a coordinator and he's got a bigger picture, maybe we get some better, more consistent defensive play calls. I don't know. I think it's a great move to get him over Byron. No offense to Byron. I mean, Byron will be fine. He'll have a HC job eventually, but I'd prefer Bowles 10 times out of 10. So John, perfectly aligned on that.
Yeah, Todd Bowles reminds me of that Tony Dungy style defense first head coaching that I really appreciated, which is something I think you can achieve when you have Tom Brady leading your offense. When you can really put your offense on autopilot and it's going to be successful, and you can make the core of your team defensive, which I think goes back to what I was saying. I think we need to bring back guys like JPP and Sue or find star replacements for them. I think this team, if you can imagine the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being defensive first with Tom Brady playing offense, being quarterback I think could make us incredibly dangerous. Not that we aren't dangerous already, but I think Todd Bowles lends himself to that dynamic better than some of the head coaches we've had in the past.
Yeah, and I don't see defense being an issue as long as Todd Bowles is there. We're going to feel a top 10 defense every year, especially with the personnel that we have there. And I'm sure Todd Bowles being the head coach will bring in a better free agent talent to come play. But it's an offensive league right now. I mean, you're seeing who goes to the playoffs. Those are led by, fast pace, move the ball down the field, great quarterback driven offenses. And I just feel that we'll see. Maybe, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Todd Bowles does a great job. But, when you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, I don't care who you put as the coach, you'll probably be successful on the offensive side of the ball. But when he's gone, and he will be, how will we look?
Not to continue this segment too long because it'll drive Ryan crazy, but if Tom Brady has another season like this past season, why would you hang it up?
Because he's going to the Dolphins. He's tired
Yeah.
of Tampa. He's going to the
Yeah.
Dolphins. He's a minority owner. He's going to throw balls to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and stuff it in Belichick's face twice a year because he can.
I just and that makes more sense to me than him retiring. I just don't see. I still believe, and this has been my thought from the very beginning when he announced his retirement, that he only announced his retirement in an attempt to win the MVP. He wanted to sway the MVP vote by retiring. As soon as they didn't give him the MVP award, he decided he was going to come back out of retirement. I think it was a bluff. I still believe it's a bluff. You can't ever convince me otherwise. He was never off the table to return this season. We made no moves to the contrary as far as a team that was losing Tom Brady. We didn't go out and try to sign anybody. We didn't go looking for anybody. We didn't posture in that direction. We knew he was coming back. And honestly, like I said, if he goes out and has another season like he just did, there's no way he hangs it up at the end of this coming season. This is not his farewell tour. He's not even writing it up as a farewell tour yet. That's not what he's doing. He's not Peyton hanging up the towel and going in and just wants to get cheered in every stadium. This isn't Mariano Rivera taking a freaking, a bow every night. This is Tom Brady, and I think he's trying to go out and win and continue to win. And I just don't see him hanging it up.
Yeah, with Peyton, you could tell, right? Even in that Super Bowl, he didn't really have the arm anymore. Like it was really the defense that won that. I mean, Brady had probably his best season as a quarterback, statistically speaking, last season. So I think everybody was kind of like, that's an interesting move that you would retire. Doesn't seem like you really want to. So, the reasons behind that move, whether it was a power move or something to get the Bucs to do something, or the Dolphins, or, all those reports that are out there, I think everybody kind of saw through that. But at the end of the day, he'll be wearing 12 for the Buccaneers here in 2022.
Yes, he will. And we are the better for it for sure. I do agree with you guys. It was odd. Our front office didn't make any drastic changes once he announced his retirement. I do think, to your point, people probably knew that he was coming back. It was just a matter of how. But we're glad to have him, obviously. And I'm glad from all of our free agent signings over the 2022 offseason. Like you guys said, Shaq Mason, Logan Ryan. I think we got Keanu Neal as well as a safety piece. I really do like, yes, former Gator Bryce, exactly. I do like the pieces that Jason Licht has brought in. And, even with the coaching changes, I do think that Jason does surround Tom Brady with weapons. I really like the Russell Gage signing. Like you said, we needed a little bit of offensive depth in that Rams game. We would have liked to have Chris Godwin. I think Russell Gage provides us another layer of depth at the wide receiver. So I think we're in good hands. Obviously, Tom Brady manning the offense, that side of the ball should be taken care of with those Byron and Tom still together. And like Bryce was saying, we're going to field the top 10 defense with Todd Bowles. It's just this season is shaping up again for a championship run, and we'll see how it goes further down the line. But for now, we look to be in a good position. So now that we've covered the 2020 offseason or 2022 offseason so far, we have the draft coming up, and I want to get into what you guys want to do in the first round. But before we do that, is there any other offseason things that you guys would like to see post-draft? Some big signing. I know you mentioned Sue and JPP are still yet to sign. I personally think if it's one of the two, we need to sign Sue back to kind of shore up that defensive line. I'd like to see that happen. Do you guys have any post-draft offseason moves you'd like to see?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, and John, Sue should be a priority. Outside of Vea, I mean, the defensive tackle position is wide open. There is no depth signed. Excuse me. I think William Golston re-signed with us. So out of those two, we need some defensive tackles. So Sue, I think, probably be a year again at, $8-9 million range. I don't think he's going to want to get underpaid at all, right? That's just not the way he does things. But let's bring him back. He's a presence there. He probably played his best game against the Rams in the divisional round. Like, he's the reason we got that strip at the end of the game to tie up the game. So I hope we do bring him back.
I think the biggest signing left for us right now is going to be Tyrann Mathieu. I think it's going to happen. I think it'll come post-draft just because I think Other teams and he himself are going to want to see how things shake out as far as who goes where. But I think that it makes too much sense for him to come in, try to get himself a championship, try to get himself a ring, come in and play with Tom Brady, come in and play on this defense, like we said. And I think he maybe even takes a pay cut to come in and play. That would be the biggest splash signing for me. I think it's a position that we desperately need to have a star, someone who can really change the dynamic of a game. And I think he adds that. And that's what I would like to see. Short of that, I mean, really, there's not much else as far as star signings that we could really make. I mean, we don't have a lot of cap space available. There's not a lot of pieces where we don't have a star of some kind. The only thing that I could see, maybe post-draft is maybe Tom Brady drives over to Ali Marpet's house, has some dinner with him and his family, and explains that family is second to football, and that he comes out of retirement, comes back and plays. Because as we all know, there's two things in life that matter, and it's winning and then partying after winning, and then you go home to your family. That's when family's there for the recovery. Football is the most important. So I think maybe outside of Ali Marpet, Tyrann Mathieu is definitely where I'd like to go.
You made me think about, we need to get Gronk back too. I'm sure he will, but like, he's not signed yet either.
Gronk isn't going anywhere. Okay. Gronk had an entire segment with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last 2 seasons where he just sits in a kiddie pool with his feet in it and tells jokes with Tom Brady. What other team is going to let him do some ignorant stuff like that every week and like hype it up? He gets to party in downtown Tampa. He gets to be rich. Where's he going to go? He's going to go somewhere else and party it up like that. I don't believe it. He's going to hang out here with Tom Brady. They're going to have boat parades. They're going to while out. He's not going in. I don't even worry about Gronkowski. Gronk would play for free with Tom Brady, as far as I'm concerned. He's coming back. That's a given.
So, I mean, I agree with all of those options. I think that's good. One thing I'd like to point out as a possibility, if they take the chance, Floyd Mayweather has guaranteed $20 million to an NFL team that will sign Antonio Brown if it doesn't work out. So that seems like a low risk move to sign him. It wouldn't be a $20 million deal. Number one, you can get him for a few milli. And if it doesn't work out, that's just cash. I mean, I don't know who's not taking that deal. So I know we have a checkered past, but $20 million, he's not worth that. I'd take that guarantee all day.
Of course, coming from the Bucs bets section over there, just thinking of the money you could earn with
I mean, what did he make his first year? It was like $1 million deal, right? Like it was like nothing. It was like
was
peanuts.
nothing, yeah.
And so what, $20 million if it doesn't work out? I'd be hoping he freaks out just for that pocket change. Like what? $20 million? He's
What
not
is
worth
it?
$20 million.
When he says it doesn't work out, like he doesn't play the full season.
I mean, you'd have to flesh it out. Obviously, we'd have to get some clarity on what he means by it. But I mean, I'm sure you could draw up terms. You have room to negotiate if it's 20 million. You can work down to get a little more specific, to guarantee it. But I don't know, 20 million.
How do you negotiate with a guy who couldn't read Cat in the Hat out loud on camera? But then again, why not take the shot? Who cares? It's
20 million.
Yeah, you get the money.
What?
Give some of that money to a doctor to check out his the bone spurs in his ankle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll put a $5 million away just for your own personal doctor.
Yeah, but you better play through the game first.
Yeah, but you
go
gotta
see the doctor. That would be interesting. I would love to see the team's reaction if they saw that Antonio Brown was back after he made his famous exit from the Jets game. So
And BA's gone, right? So it's not like he can, maybe that was just BA, now maybe he can come back.
maybe.
And plus you can now tell him like, we'll pay you 15 million 1 year, knowing that like, if it doesn't work out, you're going to get all that back. You can incentivize the hell out of his contract. It's guaranteed by 20 million. All right.
I would have loved to see BA leave the press conference with the same way Antonio Brown did. Fuck this, I'm out of here. Get my shirt off and throw my angle down. This is bullshit. Tom Brady's shit does smell. Damn it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well, those are interesting free agent signings. Some hot takes mixed in with some returning players like Sue. But as we look to the draft now, we have pick number 27. definitely some things that we can, I think we're in a position still where we're just adding depth players. We don't need any starters for any position of need. So when you look at the 27th overall pick, who you guys gunning for the Buccaneers?
It's a lot harder to have an opinion when you're not picking in the top 10. You know, who it's just trade out, just go down. We don't have a lot of picks, so I mean, and like I said, we're not looking for a starter really at any position. Short of running back, there's not really a position where we lack any kind of depth. Who cares what we do at I mean, it's been a while since we haven't had to worry about the draft, and this is another draft where I really don't feel like it matters what we do, unless there's a receiver that we can get as a steal. Maybe he was a top of the second round kind of pick where we can swoop in and snag him. I think that's maybe something where you just kind of trade down and move on and get some positional depth in the second and third rounds with trading that pick back.
Honestly, I think I like the spot the Bucs are in at 27. This isn't a draft. I mean, it's full of depth, and especially defensive depth. I mean, as the Gator fans have saw this year, I mean, Georgia's defense was elite in 2021, and there are a lot of players that are draft eligible from that defense. So I think at 27, we should take Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia, defensive tackle. I mean, that guy's a beast. I know Jordan Davis is probably the one that everyone talks about. I mean, he was 360 running a 4.7, some crazy numbers like that. But if you looked at, who played the most consistently, it was Wyatt, and I just think it'd be a great pick. We talked about defensive tackle being a position of need for depth purposes. Sue probably isn't going to be there after this year again if he resigns. So I think that'd be a great pick.
Yes, I go the other way. I say, if you have to trade up, do it. You get Kenny Pickett and you have him sit behind Tom Brady for a year. He already has the fake slide in the bag. And now you've got your plan for the future. Because I'm assuming Brady is like, this is it, and he's gone elsewhere. He's like, he doesn't resign and he moves on, the Dolphins thing, whatever. And I mean, I hope Trask is a good prospect, but Kenny Pickett, that guy is an electric factory. And he's like a back half of the first round guy, a little bit of trade up, grab him, stash him. That's the move. What's 5?
Oh no, hand size. He's got small hands. It'll never work.
Okay.
Ugly
You saw the fake
girlfriend,
slide,
you know?
right? You saw the fake slide, right? I mean, how do you not see that and just think, I need that in my uniform? I need that guy on the roster.
I just imagine Bryson Moneyball. He's got an ugly girlfriend. He's never going to work out here.
Yeah, it means he's got no confidence. It means he's got no confidence.
You see the size of his hands?
OBP.
That's not a bad thought, and
Thank you.
Bryce
I
brings up-
appreciate it.
I mean, trading back up, isn't out of the realm of possibility because there just isn't a lot to do in that position. So you either trade up or trade back. Do we need another defensive tackle? I thought we have some of the best in the game. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. Who cares about the draft at this point? There's really just does not matter to me.
Draft in the first or second round that are just sit there and do nothing for a year.
Well, Trask was at the end of the second round.
We're in the exact same position we were when Brady retired. So I'm totally against making that move. But
Trask is a third round pick. I mean, but he was minutes away from being
it was a late last
round
pick in the second round. I mean, that essentially is a third round pick.
right. He's a third round pick.
Right.
Don't say first and second rounds on quarterbacks.
Hey, Brady was a second round pick.
I just think Kenny is, and I don't know. I think it's someone's going to get him. He's going to be just a complete electric factory his entire career.
He's
And I'm
going
going
to
to
go
be
for
upset.
that fake slide, and NFL linebacker is going to destroy his ass, and then that will be it. That will be his career. Ruptured spleen, Chris Sims, all the way to the hospital. And that'll be that.
I really liked Chris Sims. So
I did too.
I kind of agree with Bryce on the draft. I think it is more, overall depth players rather than any superstars. And I really don't like the quarterbacks that are in the draft. So I'm looking at staying at 27 and taking a defensive player. I would love to take a defensive tackle just from what I'm seeing, I saw our cornerbacks go down quite a bit last season. So I'm looking at some cornerbacks. I know we've been talking with McCreary from Auburn. The Gator fan in me would also like to see Elam there. Now I think 127 is a little too high for Elam, but just from overall viewing of what cornerbacks are available, I think those two are in the range of where we could take them. And I think Elam's got a little bit more length on him than McCurry, but I know we like our Auburn cornerbacks. We got Dean, we got Carlton Davis. So, and I know that McCurry has been talking to them a lot. So, but anything on the defensive side for me is a good pick. I think offense will take care of itself again with Tom Brady.
I mean, I think it'll probably be like, other than defense, like if I had to pick like a not what I would selfishly want getting Pickett, I would say that I saw the guard from Boston College, right? Like that's probably not a bad place to go. I think it's Zion Johnson. So that's probably a good place to go. We obviously lost a starter there, good depth, and we know how crucial it is to have our offensive linemen stay upright and how big of a drop off we can get if you lose one. So that'd be like my, you know,
If we had to trade up for Zion Johnson, I'd be all about that. Like,
Yeah.
if that guy is what they say he is, and you plug it in, and you've got, I mean, last, offensive lineman we took in the first round, worse. I think that's worked out pretty well. So, stabilizing the offensive line, especially with 12 being back there, I'm all about that.
See, this is where I kind of like the idea that John had of trading back for some extra picks and maybe pulling a 2015 where we took 2 offensive linemen in the second, with Marpet and Donovan Smith. I kind of like that idea as well, where you could trade down and maybe get not the top tier talent, but some good talent that you can work with, but you get 2 of them. So there are a lot of options in the draft. Like we said,
There's no kicker there that's worthy of a second round pick that Jason Light could be like, oh shit, should I take this guy?
yes, yeah, no kicker. We learned from that, huh? That
I know
2016
Suckup
draft is
didn't
looking
have a
worse
great
and
season
worse.
last year, so no kickers. Just keep them.
my only concern with like not addressing, not to like harp on Kenny, but if Brady goes after this year, then it's really just Trask and then a free agent market, because we'll not have a high enough draft pick to get one of the guys from next year's draft. And next year's draft is the quarterback draft, right? There's at least 2 or 3 studs with Stroud and Young from Bama, and then no, I guess the Oklahoma transfer kid can't yet, but regardless, Rattler could, right? But there's supposed to be much better prospects next year, but we're not going to be in a position to get one. And so I think if you can get a deal on a quarterback in the first round that you could maybe invest in just for planning post Brady. I don't know. Maybe Trask is it. I don't know.
I've been reading a lot about this McBride kid, the Trey McBride, this tight end. Have you seen this kid that we may go after in the second round? Looks like a meaner Rob Gronkowski, big tight end. He's all tatted up, just an absolute monster. And I think that's a position where outside of Gronkowski, we don't really have anybody. So, and we've made bad picks at that position in the past. I think a nice serviceable blocking tight end is a dynamic to our offense that we're not considering. Running back is something that we also need to address because we can't just have one. I think in the later rounds is where we're going to add the important pieces, just because like we saw in the last 2 seasons, we have no depth. So we have a lot of superstars, but once they go down, it's scrub city in the background. So I think we need to definitely add some depth.
How do you think we run the ball more this year with Arians gone? I think Bowles gets farther away from interfering on whatever Brady wants. And obviously Brady's entire career has been run, play action, short pass. It's not an aerial attack. So I assume that Brady will have more input on the product on offense, and we're going to run the ball more. So O-line, blockers, running backs. I mean, it's probably a good thing to start investing there for the season, because I assume we're going to, which I love the fact that we're going to run the ball more probably. So
I don't know. I've had Brady as my fantasy quarterback for 2 years. I'm not going to love that. I like him throwing 4 or 5 TDs a game.
but fewer picks, right? I mean, fewer reps, fewer picks, right? So.
But what do you have? 40 something touchdowns? I forget what he had. 43, 40 something. Yeah,
It felt like
I'll take that over 12. 43 to 12 ratios. I'll take that every day. That's better than the 30-30 ratio we had before that. 1-1.
Hey, it was 33-30. Okay.
Yeah, put some respect on his name.
Come
He's
on.
balling.
Alright,
He's
what-
balling out there.
What
Yeah, you
point
better
of
check
three
your
you want?
sheet.
Check your sheet. He's balling. All right.
Yeah.
Check your sheet.
Can we just talk about for a minute the NFC South quarterbacks other than Brady? Because
Yeah, it's amazing.
they've got what Darnold, Mariota going to Atlanta, Matt Ryan's out, and now Jameis in New Orleans. It's clearly, I think, our division to win. I don't think any of the other teams are in a position to take it from us. So it looks like it's going to be another good year for the Bucs.
And even outside of that, the two favorites, I think. Okay, so like the Packers, right, would be a favorite. They lost Devontae Adams. The Chiefs on the other side in the other conference would be a Super Bowl contender. They lost Tyreek Hill, and Ronald Jones does not replace Tyreek Hill. So I think there's like a lot of the league has kind of, yeah. All right, Ryan, we'll think about it. I don't know, but the league has gotten a little more parity with those moves, guys moving around. So in the NFC, Rodgers loses his biggest weapon. The
Russell
quarterbacks.
Wilson leads the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean that like.
But it's like the NFC parity is going to be more parity because a lot of talent left the NFC.
Which is
Yeah,
great
Right?
because
So,
not a
like,
lot left
It's
are.
like brought the level down, and now you really have like the Bucs, the Packers, and the Rams, and everybody else. And like so, in the AFC, it's going to be a dogfight, especially the AFC West.
The AFC West looks
loaded.
insane.
Yeah, but that's all good stuff for us. Like,
Oh, I don't disagree.
yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Great. Good for us. Yes. I mean, that probably plays a reason too why Brady came back. He looks like, I really just have to beat the Rams, and that's it. And
Yeah.
since he lost to the Rams, I know his number one priority this season is going to be to demolish that team when we see them in the regular season.
I mean, he hasn't beaten them here, right? He's 0-2. So
And the Saints, you could beat the Saints once in the regular season. That'd be nice.
I prefer the way we beat them, but that's just me.
I'll take that.
Yeah. If you have to have one, I guess. Yeah.
But I think we've all talked about it. We got a lot of things to do in the draft. Like you said, we're facing the Saints again. We're facing the Rams this regular season, and we will be going over our season preview in our next episode. But for the time being, we're going to sign off here, guys. I want to thank you for your time. We will catch you guys on the next episode. As we like to sign off here, go Bucs.
Go
Go
Bucs.
Bucs.
Go Bucks.
I'm more interested to see what we do
Could
in the
also trade
later
for
rounds.
Baker.
I think we should have traded for Baker, and I think it was a mistake that we didn't. But that's a completely different discussion.